Turner drives one to center, chasing Nimmo back to the warning track, right at the fence. He made the catch! Oh, wow! The catch of the year from Brandon Nimmo! He took a home run away from Justin Turner!
Wow. Episode number 40. Welcome to the Say Hello podcast. My name is Casey Lynn, and I'm joined by my co-host, former big leaguer and former Met left-handed pitcher, Bill Pulsifer. Amazing. We have entered the 4-0 territory, Bill. We had last week off due to the 4th of July Independence holiday. I hope everybody had a safe holiday. If you're watching here on YouTube, please subscribe by hitting that subscribe button on YouTube at Say Hello Media. And of course, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We were there. Bill, it's been a week. How was your 4th of July? And how's it going over there on Long Island?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. 4th of July was good. Always enjoy 4th of July. Proud American that I am. Kind of laid low a little bit. Went over to a buddy's house, but nothing real special. But hung out for a little barbecue and that. But all good. It's been hot up here, though. That's for sure.
Oh.
Not just the Mets, the weather too.
Yeah, the Mets have definitely followed suit with the weather. Before we get into the hot Mets and being in the wild card race and the All-Star talk and the Brandon Nimmo taking over the world, and a lot more to go into with everything that's going on in Mets land, I would be remiss if we did not start off this episode by paying tribute to the late, unbelievably only at 64 years old, the chief photographer for over 30 years of the New York Mets, Mark Levine, who tragically passed away last week due to a heart attack out of nowhere, still working for the Mets, shooting his videos and all his shots every game. And it came as a surprise to nobody. I think it was 4th of July that he passed. I met him a couple times as a fan growing up. He's been here forever. And I know you as a player have many run-ins with him. And all I know is that I always had a very nice encounter with him. I've never heard anyone speak ill of him. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on the late Mark Levine. It is just, I'm gutted.
Yeah, terribly sad news. I don't think you can say a bad word or a harsh word about Mark. Mark was, I was a young player coming in, and he was just so friendly right away and so welcoming. And obviously, he's a Mets legend now, being there for 30 years. And, I see him every year in November. Saw him every year in November, unfortunately, at fantasy camp. He's down there taking the photos and doing his thing down there. And, I've been to the ballpark a few times this year, a little bit more than I've been going in years past. And there's always the wave and the smile. And Mark was a class gentleman, one of the friendliest guys I've ever met. He's obviously a Mets legend, and very tragic, sad news. And he's going to be missed by a lot of people, not just Mets. Man, there's people throughout all of baseball who knew who he was, and it's just very, very sad to see him go.
Yeah, it really is. He was one of the good guys. He was still working his ass off. The Mets paid tribute to him by honoring him their first game back after their 8-game road trip. When they were in Pittsburgh, the Pirates did a nice memorial for him, putting him on the scoreboard for a moment of silence. But my condolences go out to his wife and his daughter and his friends. I mean, gone too soon. And, he was a staple of the Mets organization for my lifetime. Every time I went to Shea Stadium, he's there. I didn't even know he went to fantasy camp like you just mentioned. It's tragic. It just reminds you how life's too short and you're never guaranteed the next day. So I'll fly high, Mark. We're going to miss you.
Yeah, man. May you rest in peace. He will be dearly missed.
So like we always do, episode number 40, unbelievable, Bill. We had some good names that have worn number 40 in Mets history. I'm going to go down through some of the bigger names, see what reaction I get from you.
All right.
We've had better numbers, but there's still some good ones here. George Stone wore number 40 for the Mets, 73 to 75. Pat Zachary, 77 to 82. Now we're talking, what do they call it? The Black Days or the Met,
the dark ages.
There you go. The dark ages of Mets baseball in those late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But then we get to Calvin Schiraldi, 84 and 85.
Crazy.
You can see the energy picking up as we get into the mid 80s. And then you got Randy Neiman in 1986.
Randy?
Yeah,
Nimmo.
yeah, former Mets bullpen coach.
He was my coach coming through the minor leagues. He was my coach in Double A, and Randy Neiman is one of the softest spoken gentlemen I've ever met. And he's a huge freaking dude, but
Right.
just a tremendous guy too. He does fantasy camp as well. He still lives down in St. Lucie, and Nimmo is awesome.
Yeah, I remember him getting into the Mets, and I know the name well. Obviously, you had a relationship with him. He
He
wore
bought me
number
a
40.
bottle of champagne, and he was still coaching in the minor leagues when I won my first game in the big leagues. He sent a bottle of champagne. He made an order and had it in the clubhouse the next day in Miami. And
That's nice of him.
Nimmo touched a lot of young pitchers' lives, over the years with the Mets. And
What was he a lefty?
yeah, big lefty.
Yes,
He used to really throw this crazy left-handed, right-handed curveball. He didn't say it was a screwball, and he would I don't know if he threw it in, when he played, but it was one of the things like when he would throw batting practice to us. In that he would throw he called it his right-handed curveball, but he would throw it left-handed and turn it over like a screwball, and he thought that it resembled a right-handed curveball. He loved throwing it at us when we didn't know it was coming.
I always knew you always have that soft spot for those left-handed pitchers like yourself. So
well, obviously, I had these guys when I was very young in formative years as an adult. Like I said, soft-spoken dude, but just direct to the point.
Gentle giant.
Yes, the gentle giant, and never gets overly excited, but knows his shit. And I love that I get to go down and see him in St. Lucie in November, and brings me back.
Very cool, very cool. After Nimmo, Jeff Ennis wore number 40 from 87 to 93.
Another fantasy camp guy, man. He rest in peace. And Jeff Ennis is another. Wow, this must be the nice guy show. Ennis again, another one who's just one of the most friendliest people you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. Side armor, or he was kind of down under in his delivery.
Yeah, well, he was down. I would say he was completely submarine, like Dan Quisenberry style.
Right.
He
wasn't touching dirt.
Yeah.
But I remember his days. He had a long career with the Mets, from 87 to 93. Eric Gunderson in your era, 94, 95.
Gundy. That's another lefty too, right? Gundy was a lefty.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I loved Armando Reynoso, 97 to 98.
Righty. Nice mustache, right? Armando had a nice mustache.
He was overlooked, in my opinion. He was a guy, right-handed pitcher, kind of dependable, quality innings, kind of like a Bartolo Colon in his later stages of Bart's career.
He was a pitcher, not a thrower or a Bauer guy, but he pitched. He sank the ball, he cut the ball, he slid the ball, he screwed the ball, he changed the ball up.
He was a pitcher.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the next notable name that wore it after him, Bartolo Colon. He wore number 40.
Right.
2014 to 16. Made the All-Star team as a Met, 2016. And just like a Wilmer Flores, a folk hero in Mets lore, fan favorite. And then rounding out the
ballpark last night.
Oh, yeah. The, what was it? Wednesday, you saw Daniel Murphy doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
Billy Wagner during the week had like a press conference.
I tell you what, they're doing a great job of getting the alumni involved. And I don't know if we're going to talk about it later, but
talk about whatever you want.
Well, about Saturday for Fantasy Camp Reunion.
I'm
being brought back again a little bit into the loop again. I'm hearing this so far. I've been told, but obviously until it happens, it hasn't happened. But going there to represent Mets Fantasy Camp for the reunion, and apparently I'm going to be able to be on the broadcast with SNY, and I'm going to be doing radio to try to put out the good word and talk about Mets Fantasy Camp. So the Cohens are doing the best that they possibly can to involve alumni, even including a washed up bum like myself. So it's really cool what they do.
You can't be that washed up and a bum if you're going on SNY Live on Saturday with Steve Gelbs.
It only took 20-something years or whatever, but I never thought it would happen. But it's special. It's special for me and an honor to
2 years in a row.
I know.
You were last year on SNY Live.
Yeah.
During the game.
Last year for Mental Health Awareness Day when I went to throw out the first pitch, which was nerve-wracking a little bit, to be honest. First time being out there. Obviously, it wasn't Shea, but it was minutiae, if you will.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty cool to be involved and to be able to be a little bit a part of the organization. It always feels special.
I'm not sure when we are recording this before Saturday, when Bill is supposed to have a live interview during the Mets game on Saturday against the Rockies. And then he's going to be on 8:80 a.m. with Howie Rose as well on Saturday. So I'm not sure when this will be out there for everybody to listen and watch. But yeah, that's
Check it
amazing,
out.
Bill. Yeah, hopefully all goes well. Watch your mouth, as we know.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Got to be professional. It's not a
I'm just teasing
podcast,
you.
right?
No, I'm just teasing you. That's super cool. I'm happy
Yeah.
for you. You've
Thank
come
you.
a long way, and you deserve it. And like you said, the Cohens thinking highly enough of you to speak as part of the face, if you will, of fantasy camp, putting you on camera, live on the broadcast on both radio and TV. That says a lot. It really
Well, I tell
does.
you, for all that, and there's been guys that have done it for years longer than me, and obviously me living in New York, it's easier for me to get there than some of the other guys. But to be asked to try to to talk about the Mets fantasy camp, and it's an honor. I would have never assumed that it ever would have happened. So
Really cool.
knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet, but I've been told it's supposed to happen, and I'm looking forward to it.
If this gets out before Saturday afternoon, hopefully it does. Look out for Bill during the game, both on SNY and 8:80 a.m. So super cool, Bill. I'm going to be watching and listening.
Thank you.
Let's round out this number 40 stuff. Wilson Ramos, catcher. He wore number 40, 19 to 2020. And then 1 year, Chris Bassett, 2022. At Drew Smith, he's had every number. Unfortunately, he has now, I don't think he's gotten under the knife yet, but Tommy John surgery is awaiting. He wore it last year. And currently in 2024, who just had a great performance on Wednesday night, Luis Severino is wearing number 40. So a pretty vast list of a lot of variety. Good number 40. Pitchers, position players.
Yeah.
Good list.
Seemed like more pitchers, but
actually, Wilson Ramos might be the only
position player.
Yeah, as I look at the names,
yeah,
it might be. It is. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. As we record this, the Mets are coming off obviously a split of their 8-game road trip between the Nationals and the Pirates. They split the Nationals in DC, 4-game series. Split the Pirates, 4-game series at PNC Ballpark. They came home to Citi Field and they swept the Washington Nationals because of basically Brandon Nimmo, who was pissed the fuck off that he did not make the All-Star team because he's gone on a rampage. As we sit here right now, Bill, the Mets are, if the season ended today and there's 70 whatever games to go, the Mets would make the playoffs. They have gone from 11 under 500. When we sat here and talked about, sell, they are now in position, percentage points above the San Diego Padres and right there behind the Cardinals, 1 game, that if the season ended today, somehow they're 2 games over 500 and they would make the playoffs. It's amazing what, a month and a half can do. It really is. Baseball's funny like that.
Yeah, it's really is insane. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, I wouldn't say I was ready to throw in the towel completely, but obviously May was a miserable month to be a Mets fan. And one thing about this team is they've just consistently over and over and over again showed their resiliency, showed their fight. The biggest thing that I'm noticing is it seems like everybody is playing for everybody else. They're playing for the next man. They're not necessarily playing for themselves or their numbers or, well, I did well tonight. None of that seems like that at all. And you can see with the OMG, the oh my God thing, how everybody is totally bought into it. And we talked about this a few episodes ago, how sometimes a song or a saying or whatever it may be, this just happens to be a song and a saying. I'm not going to say that it's totally rallied the team, like Grimace, same thing, but it hasn't not rallied the team. You know what I'm saying? It's when the good vibes get flowing like that and everybody's pulling for each other, it's amazing what can happen. And what they've been doing late game recently is just insane. Like they get the bullpen in and it's time the battle rams come out. These guys just start knocking the ball all over the place. So a lot of fun to watch. Who would have thought at 11 games over, you're thinking, oh, great, pretty soon they're going to be 20. I mean, 11 games under, you're going to think, oh, they're 20 under. But
Yeah.
fantastic run, and so much fun to watch the team play.
You hit the nail on the head. Brandon Nimmo was talking about it because he's hitting the crap out of the ball right now,
Insanity.
and he's becoming the leader of the team. The way he's talking, he's got an edge to him now. He Sunday he was a snub to the All-Star team. Since Sunday, he's basically been just 3 consecutive games with a home run. By the way, before I forget, the Mets have the best record since June 1st in the National League at 22-12. So, this is also before Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor and, getting Vientos at third base cemented and getting back for Alvarez. But it's really been like the energy that Nimmo talks about, that you were talking about. He says that everybody's pulling for each other. Everyone is tugging from the same, and I quote him on this, tugging from the same side of the rope.
100%.
So that, as a former major leaguer like you, when everybody's pulling for each other and no one's selfish and you just want to win, that goes a long way. And that's exactly what's happening with the Mets. And it's great to see. It really is.
Yeah, they're a team. The epitome, the definition of what a team is. They are. And they showed it. And they could have had every opportunity to be. I'm going to be in it for myself now. We're so far out of it. We're so far behind, and that just is not the case with this group of guys or the coaching staff. And we hope for an exciting summer. And as of now, it looks like we're going to, get an exciting summer the rest of the way, and then hopefully see what happens come towards the end of the year. But what a turnaround, and love watching them play on a daily basis. Between Vientos and what he's done, I mean, he's basically been a superstar since he's came back.
Third base, nobody better in the NL since he came up.
Like 2 weeks ago, Alvarez was the best player in the game.
Right.
Now this week, Vientos is the best player in the game. It's got to be very exciting for those young guys, for those young players to come in and be able to make such a mark, and not just on a team that was trying to. Because like when I came up, we had a really good second half in '95. We still weren't a great team. These guys are going in and dominating on a team that's looking to go places. So really cool.
Let me just give you some numbers. And we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. I think, and we spoke about the numbers to back it up, when Lindor, who has been as hot as Nimmo, so we have to credit Lindor.
100%.
He in the leadoff spot, that's where this offense just kind of took off. And that it was a trickle-down effect. Lindor, perfect as a leadoff hitter. He had like a 500 getting on base percentage as the leadoff hitter starting the game. And then you had Nimmo batting second. And look how that's turned out with J.D. Martinez, your 3-hitter. And Pete Alonso has been back into the 4-hole. And Pete hasn't even gone on his tear yet. He's putting up okay numbers. But we all know, Pete is going to have that tear, where he's going to have that 2 home run game, 7 RBIs, and hit those 450-foot polar bombs that won't land until it's in another zip code. So I just say it started with Lindor, who's been playing his ass off, and he's playing that like that superstar that we all thought he was. The stats back it up. It's amazing. So I got to give credit.
Fantastic. It's tough to really pick a guy and say this guy's the guy that's really putting it on their back. There's so many guys, and Lindor, who got off to such a terrible start in the cold weather and that, and he's been fantastic, and that says a lot. Credit him for sticking with it. And I remember early in the season, what I was talking about, what I didn't like was I didn't see adjustments. Swinging at the same pitches, swinging and missing at the same pitches, popping up the same pitches. His approach is different. Like he's willing to hit the ball the other way. Sure, he has a bad at bat here and there. Everybody does. But when he's spraying the ball all over the field, you think back when they were in L.A. and he's hitting the ball over the left field wall.
Yep.
And he's been phenomenal. You try to pick one guy and say this guy's the guy really leading it, but it's so many guys. I mean, you can look at a lot of guys, even Iglesias. I mean, this guy's leading the team. They're all doing so well.
Jose Iglesias, you talked about, oh my God, they're rallying around his song. He's hitting 526 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah,
It's
that's oh my
insane.
god. That's oh my god for sure.
It really is, oh my God. And it just makes you think, what in the world was he doing in the minors for 2 months when the Mets had Joey Wendell and Zach Short? So thank goodness David Stearns cut the bait on those two and brought up Iglesias, because he's been kind of like an Alvarez, just amazing energy that
Yeah.
has really helped this team.
Yeah.
I just wanted to read some numbers off of Nimmo, because we talked about Lindor, we've talked about Nimmo. They did not make the All-Star team. It is insane. And we don't have to go in why, all 30 teams need a representative. Those two, Nimmo and Lindor, are deserving. Let me just read some numbers off real quick. Entering Thursday, Bill, Brandon Nimmo is on pace to finish with 28 homers, which would be a career high, 30 doubles, 103 RBIs, 103 runs scored. And he's been on a tear, hitting 313, 392, and a 609 slugging with 9 homers, 9 doubles, 31 runs, 30 RBIs in just 33 games since May 31st. Forget the All-Star team. This dude is in the MVP running with those numbers, And then here's what, we all know how Nimmo was the Mets leadoff hitter, and he's batting second now and was batting third. His career high for his entire career in RBIs, 68.
Wow.
Coming into Friday, he already has 62 RBIs in 87 games.
That's
so
insane.
yeah, it really is. And
it took him a little while to get comfortable with that 2 spot. I remember we even talked about it a few episodes back, but it's been a while now, obviously, because the team's been so hot. But it's nice when when you're going to be in that lineup at a specific spot. When you go in, like, you almost feel like you don't even have to go look at the lineup card, or it's just a glancing blow.
They know
as you walk by. You already know where you're at.
Yeah.
And with JD hitting behind him, he's obviously going to get some pitches to hit. I do totally agree with you. He's playing with an edge.
Yes.
Hasn't made
dark.
An All-Star
I call
yet.
him Dark Brandon now. He's got that. I've seen the face on him. He doesn't look that. He still smiles. And he's a great guy. But you see him like he's pissed. Like he's taking offense to not making the All-Star team.
Yeah, I saw something the other day. He's in the top 5, I guess, in WAR for the history of the Mets, and is yet to make an All-Star game. It's crazy.
He is right there with Mike Piazza in total WAR, and he's got 6 years left on his contract already. That it is incredible.
Well, you take nine Nimmos on your team. The way that he goes about his business, and the way that he handles the media, and the way that he does everything. He's just the perfect fit. And I definitely do think he's locked in, and he's a little bit of pistivity about not getting his due. But that's not going to change. It's not going to change the way that guy plays. He's not going to solve it. If anything, he's going to try even better, even harder.
And we forget about this. He changed positions. Center field his whole career basically. Outside playing left field for a year or two. Nothing's changed. He's a great left fielder. Harrison Bader's holding it down in center and having a great year. Credit to Bader. He is really, my expectations were, but he's clutch, 280.
Far exceeded my expectations. He's another one that's fun to watch. Man, that guy's a fun to watch player. Somebody knows what they're doing. I might have bitched a little bit about Stearns here and there too, but I guess it's people, knowing people, and he's pulling the right strings by fitting together humans that like each other, that care for each other, that want to play together, and I'm sure they get together for meals and doing all that kind of stuff. I think that this team really likes each other, and that makes it easier to go out there and battle.
That's another thing that Nimmo just came out with, and you don't hear this often. When they're on the road, they've been going out for team events and dinners. And Nimmo and Lindor, the 2 highest paid players on the team, have been picking up the checks on every single, and you don't hear about it. We know that they go out and they go out to a bar or dinner, but they're having all of the team on the road come, 100% attendance. And Lindor and Nimmo was the one who said this, they're picking up the checks. Like, you're coming, we're paying for it, we're a team, we're a family, and that's really cool to hear,
It is super duper.
And to your point, we're talking about Nimmo in the 2 spot. A minimum of 100 plate appearances in the number 2 spot. Brandon Nimmo is the best in baseball in the number 2 spot.
He's the best left fielder in the National League. That's for sure.
But
mean,
the stats back it up. The all these crazy stupid stats, but WRC plus is weighted ballpark and batting average basically, and 100 is the minimum,
right.
like average. Brandon
Okay.
Nimmo 215, unheard of, and then you got Shohei Ohtani, kind of a superstar
Kind of a
at
big deal around here.
177 batting second, and then Juan Soto at 176. Nimmo
Wow.
215.
Those are going to be the two highest paid players in the game. And then you got Brandon Nimmo right there.
Ohtani.
And you know what's crazy
Yep.
is the fact that he's picking up these tabs. Is if you would have told Brandon Nimmo when he was growing up in Wyoming that he was going to have the type of contract that he has, he would probably tell you were out of your mind. He probably never expected that ever to happen. So the fact that he gives back to his teammates, and I'm sure he does more than just that, other than his teammates, it just, again, says a lot about who he is as a person and as a player. And Lindor has been fantastic lately. I can't take that away from him. He's been fantastic. Yeah. And I tip my cap for sticking with it, man. Sticking with it. Yeah, man. Sticking with it.
The last thing I'll say about Nimmo, who's not an all-star, you just said best left fielder in the game, right?
Yeah.
Best left fielder. Here you go, Bill. He's first among NL outfielders in runs scored, second in F-WAR, second in WRC plus OPS, fourth in OPS plus, tied for fourth in home runs, and tied for fourth in RBIs. Somehow not an all-star.
Yeah, there's something ain't right there. Something ain't right there. That's for sure.
So, it's a team game. There's 26 men on the team. So Nimmo right now is carrying them. Lindor's been great. We talked about Bader and Iglesias, so clutch. Bader's been so clutch. Alvarez, Vientos.
Even Walker comes up with big hits. He's hitting a home run here and there and hitting triples, a couple of triples. Everybody's contributing. Everybody on that roster is contributing.
And that's what Nimmo was saying. Everybody's pulling from the same side of that rope, and we see it. So that moves us to the pitching. We talked about the offense just now. The Mets made a move. We all know that their weakness and their Achilles heel is the bullpen. It's been trash. It started off well, and in July, it's been their ERA over 10. Edwin Diaz, he has come back from his sticky substance suspension. Say that 5 times fast. And Jesus. And
sticky substance suspension.
Yeah, say 5 times fast. Yeah. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Anyway, they made a trade. So we talk about David Stearns. They got Phil Maton from the Rays, who had a 4.30 ERA with the Rays this year, but the 2 previous years, by the way, right-handed relief pitcher, the 2 years prior, lights out for the Houston Astros, and the Mets were always tied to him as a relief pitcher. But what Steve Cohen just did is a player to be named later or cash and he made his Met debut on Thursday, clean inning,
pitched well,
and struck out 2. Doesn't throw hard, 88 he topped out at, and his number actually is 88. I just find that funny.
That's probably why he wears it because
Did you hear why he wears it?
I have not.
It's actually I'll make it short. It's a cool story. He came up as a no-name prospect, and that's the number they gave him wherever he came up. And he kept it his whole career. So every time he sees this number, it reminds him how he was a no-name prospect, and here he is pitching in the big leagues.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of those high numbers like that, but you know what? If you have a story like that and the reason why you're doing it, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Or if it's the Yankees, it's because every other number is retired, I guess.
Yeah. But the thing I like about
one quick thing, because I did a little bit of research on him after you and I had talked when they made the trade.
Yeah.
He has 2 outings this season where in those 2 outings he gave up 9 runs.
Yep.
And then he had one other outing that wasn't great. Other than that, he's really pitched well this year, and obviously he pitched well in his first game as a Met. But 9 runs in 2 outings as a relief pitcher is an ERA killer. So he has a 4.3. But let's say and I know you can't eliminate anything, but if you eliminate 2 outings, I bet you that number, that number gets dropped quite significantly.
Yeah, and actually, since 2021, Maton is tied with Tanner Scott for the 5th most appearances in Major League Baseball.
That's good.
With 240. So he has been durable. And his playoff numbers with the Astros when they won the ring in ALCS, like an ERA under 1, 20 innings. So he's playoff tested under the bright lights. Everything about him seems good. And what I like is that Stearns pounced on him because he's riding a hot streak with his arm. His last 13 outings or 13 innings, just lights out stats.
Right.
ERA under 1, Ks, and we saw it on Thursday with that scoreless inning. So
Another good
they
move.
gave up nothing. I don't know why they DFA'd Joey Lucchesi. It's a lefty. He's 30. He wasn't pitching that poorly in AAA. 4.20 ERA in 15 starts, 5-4, 83 innings. Like, you telling me you couldn't DFA someone else like a Tyler J or an Adcock, where Lucchesi has been in the majors and has shown a lot? It's just obvious they just weren't high on him anymore. That's what I take out of it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I know that we
Yeah.
talked during the offseason, trying to hopefully get to see him do
Yeah.
his thing up here. And the business she's a bitch, man. It's whenever somebody does come to the team, that means somebody leaves the team or leaves the roster or whatever it is. It's I don't want to say it's an unfair business because life isn't fair, but
Right.
it's unfortunate.
It is. And, maybe he clears waivers and he gets back to AAA with Cuse, but I don't see it. He's a lefty. He's not
I'm
bad.
sure
he's
going
still
to want
young.
to try to hopefully
And he might elect
get his
free
opportunity
agency.
to pitch in the big leagues. At 30, you're not getting any younger,
Right.
And I'm sure he'd like to playing in the big stage.
If he doesn't return to the Mets, I wish him all the best.
Absolutely.
He had Tommy John, and he's been through a lot. So, and he's been a good team player.
Absolutely, he was a team player when he was
organizational player.
Yep. Gave what he had when he was out there.
Yeah. On the other hand, let's talk about something good here. Jose Butto, your boy. I know you're high on Butto.
Yes.
Doc Gooden had his day back in April, and Jose Butto started that day, and he had a lot of pressure on him. With Doc Gooden being Doc Gooden, and you're starting the game. Butto's a rookie. Well, Butto is now in the Mets bullpen, and I salute to David Stearns and whoever makes those choices that they took a starting pitcher and they moved him into the bullpen, kind of like what I've been saying with a McGill, which they haven't done, and they're getting multi-innings from Butto. And on Wednesday, he picked up his first save ever in his major league career. And in his 3 games as a reliever for the Mets, win, save, 5 scoreless innings, only 1 hit allowed, 10 inherited runners, and 10 stranded. He's been tremendous out of the bullpen.
I don't think you can be any better than that.
No.
We had talked through text about this. Well, I do. I love the guy. I loved his approach. I love his stuff. The day on Doc's day, and I know that he's too young to maybe possibly have really known who Doc was, but as a Mets minor leaguer, I would suspect that he kind of had an inkling of who Doc Gooden was, and if not, I'm sure that somebody kind of maybe let him know who he was and what a special day that was for the organization and for Doc. And he went out there, struck out the side in the first, and I think he struck out 9 guys that day over 6 innings, and he did his best Doc Gooden impersonation that day. And that to me is ice water in your veins, because I know it was an early April game, but
it was raining in the beginning, and then sunshine after.
It was
packed
beautiful.
house.
It was awesome. But that's a big day in the history of the organization, and to have a young pitcher like him go out there and then go out and try to emulate Dwight Gooden. To me, it let me know that this kid's got ice water in his veins. So for him to make that transition to the bullpen, which sometimes isn't easy for guys, because a lot of times when you're in the bullpen, you're pitching in situations, 10 inherited runners, nobody's come around. It just shows that he's a calm, cool, collected dude with an aggressive mean streak in him, and a lot of
big
fun
balls.
to watch pitch too.
Big
huge
balls.
Huge cojones, man. That dude's got some serious balls.
And for a guy he's 26 years old, he was signed out of the Dominican Summer League in 2017, and obviously they've taken their time with him. It's been 7 years, but he's still a rookie. He looks like he could be the real deal because he's showing, like we just said, big cojones. Starter, he's been great. Then he was sent down to Cuse with a 3 ERA, and it was like, what? But they obviously didn't like he was walking too many guys. I get it, And then Christian Scott got called up. But then they called him back up because their bullpen has been, I'm going to say it, absolute utter trash. And so they put him in the bullpen. He's been great. So he's been through a lot, and it's only July. Rookie, starter, did great, sent down, bullpen. That's hard, right?
And it hasn't phased him one bit. And as somebody that's been, went up and down and kind of not knowing which way you're going. Sometimes it's not easy. So you tip your cap to a dude like that, and obviously they're putting him in big situations because they trust him, and
Yeah.
he is rewarding the team, the organization with great performances.
I'll say this, with Butto in the bullpen, having Edwin Diaz back, and hopefully, somewhat of a good Edwin Diaz. We've seen it all this year. It's been a roller coaster for Tim in 24, but I've been on high on him, and I know you have. The Daniel Nunes has been unbelievable. A gem, a diamond in the rough out of nowhere. And
Yeah,
he's been as reliable as anyone.
another
So,
one that just doesn't
yeah,
seem phased, by first time being up in the big leagues, and
nope.
nothing seems to bother him. I don't want him to overuse him right now.
Well, they're being very careful. They
I hope
usually,
so. Because I know they
yeah,
gave him some rest early on when he came up, but now it seems like since they gave him that little bit of rest, he's out there. But again, that goes down to some of the other guys having to hold their weight a little bit, and that will afford him some rest. But
yeah.
you don't want to burn through your guys completely now.
No,
But he's been
that,
fantastic. Nasty slider. I remember
oh,
we were talking about it when they played the Yankees. When he came in, I'm like, his breaking ball is 5 times better than Garrett Cole's breaking ball. That slider that he was throwing, because I
filthy.
was kind of measuring,
Yeah.
breaking balls there, and his breaking ball is fantastic, and he throws hard enough, and he's very aggressive, and diamond in the rough right there.
Yeah. And now with Maton, excuse me, Nunez, Garrett, like you just mentioned, he just went on the IL. Thankfully, nerve inflammation, nothing serious. He'll be out a month, but it's nothing Tommy John. I saw the interview after Thursday's game. You could see the look on his face of relief of like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm not out for the year, 2 years.
you know what?
He was overworked. He just was. Mendoza used him every freaking game.
Well,
That's what
you
happened.
ride the hot hand, and unfortunately, early in the year, we've talked about this numerous times, where the starting pitchers were struggling to get deep into games. Which, knock wood, they've been turning that around a little bit here recently, which is great to see. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody's really happy about that. But I wonder if it's because your ulnar nerve, which is your funny bone, which is what they're talking about.
Yeah. So
Uh,
funny bone, I know that one
well,
because it
it
goes.
actually runs down in between right through this groove right here. And when you
Okay.
hit right there, that's where it is. Most guys,
Right.
when they have Tommy John, they call it transposing the nerve, and they take the nerve from outside of the groove and they put it along the side here. So
Okay.
if you feel that little groove in between your elbow, what happens sometimes is the bones kind of pinch together. So maybe that's
Yep.
what's going on with him, and that's why he's got a little bit of nerve, inflammation of the nerve, it's pinching.
He said that he felt off and he never felt like he did in his career when he was pitching through it.
Right.
And,
And you
he
see him
thought the
struggle a
worst.
little bit.
Yeah. And we could see why he's on the IL. But, he'll be back hopefully because they do need him. We saw how effective he
And
was
he's a
when he,
gamer too. That kid's a
yeah,
gamer, man.
he is.
You know, I wish
Yeah.
he could. I used to stand, especially towards the end of my career. I used to stand up in between innings. But I remember a game 2 weeks ago or so when he was going back out for the ninth, and he was pacing back and forth through the
Yeah.
dugout, back and forth and back and forth. So he's a little bit of a high strung guy, which isn't a terrible thing. But
No.
maybe a
And
little bit of rest. Maybe a little bit of rest will do him some good.
And plus, this is his first year of coming out of nowhere. He was picked up on
Yeah,
waivers last
this
year out of nowhere, and so he's trying to make a life for himself.
right. Well, that's
And
what he was pitching in. Was it Korea? I believe he was pitching in, right?
yeah,
I think he
he
went to
was
Korea. So,
overseas, and
and obviously, I'm
Orioles had him.
not taking
Yeah,
anything away from the Korean league, because the KBO is a good baseball league, but it's not the top league in the world. So the
right.
stress and strain of coming into the top league in the world and being a little bit overused, possibly out of necessity, it's not surprising that he might have came up a little bit lame.
And what you were talking about before with the starters, they do have the third best ERA in July as a starting collective unit.
They picked it
And
up. They really have.
knock on wood,
Knock wood.
that it stays like that. Quintana, 4 amazing starts in a row. Severino's pitched well. Manaya's pitched hell of I would say the second half of the first half, Manaya's completely come into his own. Let me ask you this, because a lot of lefties there, Manaya and Quintana, but Quintana, his ERA in his last 4 starts is like 0.83.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything? Because he was struggling bad before that. And then Alvarez, we
Well,
can point to
I was
it's
going
the
to say he got
easy.
his partner. He got his partner back. He got his
Yeah,
caddy back. That
completely looks
obviously,
like a
listen.
different pitcher.
I've disparaged Alvarez before as a catcher, and I will say this because I watch almost nightly. Um, my biggest beef with Alvarez was the moving around behind the plate. So much moving around. So much moving around. For you, Casey, and for the fans and for our listeners, when you're watching the games, watch him now. He's so much more quiet behind home plate. It's like one move, stop, and now here I am. Obviously, I'm still gonna pick on the whole no target thing and leaving a target there, but that's for an old guy to pick on because that's just not how it goes anymore.
Right.
So, and I was actually texting a friend last night who I had said some things about Alvarez about, man, I don't think I'd like to throw to him, but I think that he has matured so much in a year. It's just and we went off about how thrilled we are with him, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the starting pitchers, now that they're into their stride halfway through the season, a little more than halfway through the season, getting him back there is a confidence boost for all of them, and I think it's working for everybody. Alvarez is a leader. I think they
Yeah.
really do love throwing to him, and I do think he's calmed down the movement so quite a bit. So make sure you take a look at that when you're watching the games here.
And last thing before we get into the mailbag, speaking of catchers, where in the world and how lucky did the Mets get by stealing Luis Torrens from the Yankees for $100,000? Like,
Crazy.
what are the Yankees doing? This guy, as a backup catcher, could easily be a starting catcher for a lot of teams. He's great.
It's crazy. And again, I'm going to go to the whole team thing. It's like, when the mojo is a certain way in certain clubhouses and all that, maybe a certain player won't kind of fit into that clubhouse or fit into the organization and what they think. I again look at Torrens as another player who just fits into the enjoying themselves playing baseball, enjoying being with their teammates, having a good time, being a professional, playing professionally and not, clowning out there and all that, but just enjoying being a big leaguer, getting the opportunity and making the absolute most of it. It's really, you root for those kind of guys. And those are the kind of guys as Mets fans like to gravitate to guys like that. And I think that's why they've gravitated to Iglesias quite a bit.
Yeah.
They like that. They, sometimes you'll ask a Met fan who their favorite player might be, and it'll be not the biggest superstar or whatever. It'll be a certain thing about that guy. And I think Torrens is one of those guys that just kind of has that vibe of, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be with my teammates, and I'm going to make the absolute most of this.
10 runners have tried to run on him, try to steal a bag. He's thrown out 7. 70% caught stealing percentage.
I mean, that's way, way above league average.
League average is like 20, if that. Yeah. So
I mean, that number blows away before they even let everybody know that you're allowed to steal. And hey, I can't throw over anymore. So that's
all
very
the
impressive.
stupid rules that make it easier. So
definitely makes it easier to steal bases. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm happy to have him, and plus he's under team control to 2027.
Wow.
So thank you,
good move,
Yankees.
Good move.
All right, let's move on to the mailbag. We got some questions to get to. And if you're new to the podcast, again, if you're watching on YouTube at Say Hello Media, hit that subscribe button. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere. We asked if you want to ask Bill or I a question, mostly for Bill. We read them live on the air, and we're going to do so right now. Look for Shay_Hello. Comes out usually like 4 or 5 days before we record the podcast. You ready, Bill?
I am ready.
All right. We will start with Jeff Cohen. He has a podcast, Baseball and BBQ. Subscribe, check it out. Great podcast. I love Jeff because he's always got a question for me. So we'll start with your.
He does keep you involved. Absolutely, he does a great job.
Thank you, Jeff. I know I didn't pitch in the majors, but I appreciate it. We'll start with the question for you first. Jeff asks Bill, do you prepare differently knowing the weather conditions? For example, cold weather early season or knowing there will be a long rain delay?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, absolutely prepare differently. Obviously, on colder days, you want to get there maybe a little bit earlier, maybe do a little bit more of your calisthenics and your stretching out, making sure that you have the gear that you need for the night, warm weather gear. Like I said, get out there maybe a little bit earlier to start moving around and acclimate yourself to the temperature. Rain delays was always something that I never really liked, or because it's hard to try to judge. So then you're following the weather and you're asking people, what's the latest word? Because as starting pitchers, you definitely have a regimen where it's down to the minute when it comes down to
You
it.
got to
Like
warm up. You got to get to the bullpen 20 minutes before first pitch.
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
exactly, and it doesn't even necessarily go to the how many minutes it is. It's like to the time on the clock because that
right.
at 6:47 I need to be doing this. And it kind of goes like that. So hot weather, you don't need to be out there as much because you don't want to go out there and waste as much energy. So you maybe go outside a little bit later. Just to and knowing, and maybe your warm up is kind of shortened just a little bit because you're going to get loose quicker, and you don't want to use a bunch of your bullets in the bullpen.
Yeah.
On cold days, it might take a little bit longer to get going. So good
Now,
question, and definitely different.
yeah, no, that's a great question. The question for me, Jeff asks, Casey, do you follow any other teams as closely as you do the Mets? I follow the Knicks very closely. They made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals, lost in 7 to the Pacers. They were injury riddled, but they've made amazing moves this offseason, and I predict them to get to the finals in 2024, 2025. Beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference finals.
There you go. They're doing what they can, aren't they?
It's been a long time coming. So
It has been, absolutely.
Leon Rose, their president, we trust. Thank you for the
You
questions,
stick blue
Jeff.
and orange, though, right? You stick
Yeah.
blue and orange.
Yeah. See the colors, blue and orange. I bleed them. Next question. We got Sean Frank 73, and he's got a question for Bill. Bill, I think I know the answer to this. Let's see. Bill, and Sean asked this: what was your favorite car you ever owned?
Can I go sedan and can I go sports car? Can I go?
Yeah,
two?
sure, definitely.
I had a M5 BMW the first year that they brought them back. They had been gone for years and years and years, maybe even decades. And I got, I think, the fourth one that came to the States back in 2000. That was a beautiful car, kind of a Mets blue, but like an electric blue.
Yep.
And then the following year, I got a Z06 Corvette in basically the same color.
Ooh.
Yeah, so those are my two favorites. The sports car was the Z06, and I was big into cars when I was young. Not so much anymore, more because I, don't have the glue to throw around that I had at one point in time.
Those aren't cheap. Yeah.
Big car guy, and those are the two, M5 and a Z06 vet.
I was going to guess because I remember asking you, or someone in the mailbag asked you, what did you do when you first got signed, with the Mets?
The Impala.
Yeah, so I thought you were going that way.
Funny story about that. We'll do it real quick.
Oh.
There's a place out here. I won't say the name of it because they're still in business. I put an insane stereo system in that car. Right.
Oh.
I kept blowing amps and blowing woofers and
just blasting that shit.
Yeah. It was insane. I was on the road rookie year, and I got a call that my car was on fire. They had
what?
My brother-in-law was driving the car. My wife had drove him to go pick up the car at the audio shop, and I guess they had rewired something wrong. And they're driving, and she's following him, and then honking the horn because fire was coming out from underneath the car, and the car burnt up. So the car that I bought when I made it to the big leagues went up in a fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Luckily, everybody got out. No problem.
Right.
But
that's most importantly. But it was due to faulty wiring due to fixing all the audio, if you will. The subwoofers and the. Yep. Wow, that's crazy.
Faulty wiring. Set it on fire.
Wow. Well, I'm happy everyone was safe, and rest in peace to the Impala.
Yeah. I actually bought a new Impala after that, but a different color. But the black one first that I got
Yeah, it's bringing back memories. I see.
It is.
I hear you. Let's get to the last.
My favorite car. Although it was bad luck.
Yeah.
Hurt my elbow. The car went up in fire. It was bad luck.
Let it go. Bad luck. Throw it past rearview mirror for a reason. Let's get to the last question here in the mailbag before quick pitches. We got our boy, your boy, NYMGI. Got a question for you, Bill. How much political and world news conversations are there in a big league clubhouse? Do guys avoid that kind of stuff, or is it discussed? Do guys stick mostly to just sports and family talk, or the former?
You know what? I don't think that, and I don't know nowadays. I can't speak for nowadays, and obviously when I played, it was very, very, very rarely talked about it, if at all. It was basically. I mean, look, world events. If something was to happen around
big
the world,
event.
Obviously, there would be discussions about something that happened, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever it may be. But political, not really, man. Not really. Guys keep it to themselves. I think when you're younger at that in that age, and things have changed. Things have changed. Obviously,
Social media now. Yeah.
social media and access is so much higher. I don't think we paid attention as much. I remember
Yeah.
whoever the president was, Republican, Democrat, it didn't matter. You respect the presidency. Obviously, things have changed, but no, but not a lot. Sports, obviously, and pretty much all of them, other than some. We're not going to rename names.
TVs were basically
Oh,
glued to
yes.
like ESPN
Yes,
and
100%.
right. I could see that in the clubhouse,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not to CNN
No,
or what.
definitely
Right.
not. 100% no. That was not a thing. That's
Yeah,
not.
and I could see that being it still now.
I think it would be.
I would hope.
I think it would be. And I think when you're younger, you're in your 20s and that you don't pay as much attention to politics as when you get older. I didn't, and now that I'm older, obviously I pay attention a little bit more. But no.
Okay.
Not talking.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I
Good
don't think
question.
it's like a taboo or anything. I just don't think the guys are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I follow these guys on social media, like a Mark Vientos and a Alvarez. They're 22, 23.
Right.
They're posting. It's the world we live in now in 2024. They didn't have that back in early,
Right.
2000s.
Thankfully.
I agree with you because social media could be a problem. And the smarter players.
I would like to think if I was a player nowadays, I would abstain completely. But if I was a 21-year-old Bill Pulsifer, there's a good chance that I probably would be involved. And I'm glad that I.
You would need the right people around you to convince you it's probably for the best and the greater good to just not have it.
Yeah, stay away from it. I mean, look, if you want to put pictures of your dog or pictures of your kids, whatever, on Instagram and all that,
Hey,
no big
Edwin
deal
Diaz. Edwin Diaz does exactly that. I see Edwin Diaz and Lindor. They're posting what their sponsors, with their cleats and their gloves, but their kids and their dogs and their happy birthdays, so that's okay.
Absolutely.
So that's going to round out the mailbag. Thank you for the questions, guys. Bill, time for quick pitches. You ready?
I'm always ready for quick pitches.
All right. I had 2 weeks since 4th of July holiday. Ah, man. I'm hard on myself with these. Let's see if I did well. Ready?
All right.
Number 1, 3 questions, everybody. He doesn't know what's coming. Doesn't have to be MLB baseball related. Number 1, if you could teach a dog to do one human thing, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. Talk.
Okay.
I'd love to hear what my dogs are thinking.
But think about it. Do you really want your dog to talk? I have, we're both dog lovers. We know that. Like, it could be a little overmuch. Like we tell her.
I get what you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. Because sometimes it's just the look in the look in the no is good enough.
Because they do talk, but they with their eyes and their when they're hungry or they have to go outside.
So I'm gonna give you a good. I'll give you a different one then because I know you like to have off the wall fucking answers from me. Learn how to shit in the toilet so I don't have to pick up the dog crap in the backyard. How's that?
It reminds me of Bruce Almighty when he tries to train the dog of taking Jim Carrey taking the dog out to pee, and then he got all the magical powers from Morgan Freeman, the God, and the dog is now literally taking a shit in the bathroom reading the newspaper.
I mean, when you have up to 7 dogs in your house at any point in time, there's a lot of
shit
going on. A lot of shit going on in that backyard at times.
No pun intended. I like that answer. There you go.
I thought you'd like that one better.
Number 2, what season is the worst suited for your personality and why?
Well, this is going to sound funny as a former baseball player.
Yeah.
The summertime.
I actually thought that would be your answer.
I don't like the fucking heat. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Now, you play baseball at night, obviously. So at night, but
cools off.
It's hot and in humid place. I don't like it being hot out, man. I would prefer the cold over like some of the places in the country right now. I got a buddy sent me a screenshot of his weather and it said 116.
Vegas, Palm Springs in California, 125.
Yeah. Even Northern California was up in the mid 90s last week.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would say summer. I know it's crazy, but I love the fall. That's my favorite. Best time of the year to me. World Series, playoff baseball.
I grew up on Long Island my whole life, lived in New York. I'm in Florida for a couple of years now, more than a couple of years. The humidity just drains you, and
I saw something on,
it's crazy.
I saw something on social media. My wife sent it to me and somebody was asking, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to Florida in August.
Why?
Can it, can anybody tell me what it's like down there in August?" And the
Hell.
first response was, "Have you ever been cremated?"
Right. It's literally hell.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
don't. I'm sure I wouldn't
You
be
know.
outside much. Look, I'd love to move to St. Lucie and retire in St. Lucie, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't want to be in there in the summertime.
Listen, a lot of New Yorkers are listening to this right now. They are called snowbirds for a reason.
Right.
Get the hell out of Florida from the summer, hotter months, and then in the winter, spring, perfect. You get your
Right.
80s,
Oh,
75.
winter in Florida is
Perfect.
tremendous. You know, it's
Yeah.
tremendous.
You know, instead of shoveling snow or bundling up, you're 75 degrees and golden, but you got to pay your dues. It's the
Right.
opposite.
Yeah.
Winter is summer, summer is winter, you
Yeah.
know? And plus, as I've lived here in Florida, the Floridians who have born and raised, they have their AC at like 79 fucking degrees. And I'm like, that's not air conditioning. That's like walking outside on a hot summer day in New York.
Yeah, that's warm.
Yeah.
That's too hot for me.
And I'll be that guy who will literally touch their thermostat and lower it to a conducive number so I'm not sweating in the living room. I will be that guy.
That's miserable. That's miserable.
Like, are you a lizard? It's 80 degrees in your living room. Whew. Number 3. I could go all day on that. Ah, boy. Number 3, last one. Hopefully it's a good one. If you had 25 hours, Bill, in a day, what would you do with your extra hour other than sleep?
Oh.
Yep, that's the caveat.
The answer was going to be sleep. I would play another hour of Warzone.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. I knew you would know that.
Yeah.
Play another hour of Warzone probably.
I knew you were going to say that, so that's shame on me. But I expected that answer because that's what you love to do. So you get an extra hour of it.
It's my hobby. That and watching the Mets games.
Right. Couple beers while you're playing Warzone. You know, just relaxing.
Relaxing.
Okay. That's a bad job by me, but maybe the listeners they did not know that.
I wish I would say learn how to be a physicist or a chemist but that's flown that bird.
Yeah, we're being realistic here. So
yes.
All right. I'm going to give myself on a scale of 1 to 10 on the quick pitches, 6. You know, could have done better. Your answers were great like always.
Well, I'll go 7.
Okay, I'll take it. How about we meet in the middle, 6.5?
6.5 it is.
Perfect. That's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Episode 40, unbelievable, in the books, as Howie Rose likes to say. And also, let's remind everybody, Bill will be, hopefully, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, on SNY during the game on Saturday with Steve Gelbs talking about fantasy camp stuff, and put in the books Howie Rose on 8:80 a.m. on Saturday against the Rockies. So tune in for that. Any last words to our listeners? We've had a week off because of the holiday. Mets are hot. It's hot everywhere in the freaking world. Any last thoughts?
No, just the same as always. Thanks for everybody that tunes in and listens. Enjoy what's going on right now with the team. Hopefully they can keep it up. You know, if you're in some of those cities where it's blazing hot like it's been, make sure you stay hydrated and don't do anything silly. Don't take your health for granted.
Absolutely. So the Mets are hot. The world is hot. Hopefully the Mets keep it going. The All-Star break is upon us. It's fun to be a Mets fan right now. So
it is.
For everybody here at the Say Hello podcast, my name is Casey Lynn, saying either a pleasant good morning, pleasant good afternoon, or a pleasant good night, everybody.